Okay. Now, tell me why you want that money back, plus additional money for aggravation.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to get recompensated back because of the fact that Mr. Stringfellow that sits here, this is Billy Stringfellow, the biological dad of the young gentleman that's over here. The young gentleman went to his house.
So your son went to his father's house. This is your ex-husband.
Yes.
And?
And told Mr. Stringfellow that that it was not so what took place. So they both drove to my house.
They came to your house. Who came to your house? Mr. Stringfellow and his son.
The young boy.
Step up, sir. Tell me what you told Mr. Vasquez.
I told Mr. Vasquez that my son told me that they had flooded their own stuff out there and they had got raw sewage from the yard and put it to the carpet. That's what my son was telling me, and the young was telling the truth about it.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, what did you do?
I told Mr. Vasquez that he was defrauded.
Okay. What's your son's name?
Mitchell.
Mitchell, come up here, Mitchell. That's why you want your money back?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you, Mitchell?
12.
You know who I am.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you nervous today?
Yes, ma'am.
You look a little nervous today, Mitchell. Do you go to school?
Yes, ma'am.
What grade are you in?
5th.
Do you do well in school?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I've had a few problems here in school.
What kind of problems, Mitchell?
Grade problems.
You have any problems at home? Look at me.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what kind of problems you have at home.
I get yelled at a lot.
By your mom?
By Robert, he's my dad. Well, my stepdad.
How long has your mom been married to Robert?
I think 5 years.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have a sister.
How old is your sister?
11.
Any other children in the house?
Wesley.
How old is Wesley?
12.
And is Wesley Robert's son?
Yes.
Do they get yelled at too?
I don't see them get yelled at a lot.
You don't see them getting yelled at. You get yelled at more.
Yes.
Any reason for that, you think?
No.
Have you talked to your mom about that?
Yes, actually I have.
What does she say?
Sometimes she won't listen, and sometimes she does.
You know anything about this problem that happened because of the flooding in your house?
Yes.
You want to tell me about it? You want to tell me about it privately, or you want to tell me about it here?
We could do it privately.
Then let's do it privately. Come on in the back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Judge Judy.
William Vasquez claims neighbor Betty Salva owes for the cost to repair flood damage to her home. William says Betty conned him into thinking he was at fault.
Order.
Miss Salva, it is your claim that the damage that was caused by this flooding. And I see from your papers that you have a videotape of that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the videotape.
This is the neighbor's pump that's draining their pool, and it's just flowing in our yard and the neighbor's yard. It smells horrible out here. He has done flooded both of our septic tanks. You see, it is overflowed, running all on my back porch, all the way to my pool step area, down to my driveway, all the way back over here. This is the second septic tank that is overflowed, which has run all the way up into the house.
Both my septic tanks are overflowing.
Flooded. Run all over my yard.
Bird, stop it there, please.
We tried to...
Stop it there. And I want you to back it up a little bit, please. Back it up about 5 seconds. Keep going, 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 keep going. Now, I want you to stop it right there. Thank you. You've been married 5 years, Miss Salva?
Yes, ma'am.
You have 2 children?
Yes, ma'am.
Your husband has 1 child.
Yes, ma'am.
You punish your children by hitting them with a belt?
No, ma'am, I do not.
I want you to pay very careful attention to me, Miss Salva. When I ask you a question, I expect a truthful answer. If I don't get a truthful answer from you, you're in serious trouble. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Does your husband, Robert, punish the children with a belt?
No, ma'am, he doesn't.
I don't believe you.
He doesn't.
I don't believe you. Was your son living with his father for some time last year?
For about 2 months.
Why was he living with his father?
He was stealing and sneaking out at night, and that was just a last resort to try to straighten him out, and that didn't work.
Explain to me why it didn't work.
His father had went out of town and left him there for I don't know how long without any supervision. So I went and picked him up.
Did you go out of town, sir?
No, ma'am, I didn't go out of town. I was at home. She went and took the young'un out of school, didn't call me, didn't do nothing, and it costed me new uniforms, new everything. She didn't call me, didn't say nothing. She just come picked him up. 2 weeks, so he didn't even go to school. And my daughter, she hadn't been in school in over a year.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. She's
Why is that?
homeschooled. She, well,
She's homeschooled by whom?
by me.
What college did you graduate from?
I went to the George County Occupational Training Center, but I did not
What
graduate.
university did you graduate from?
I did not graduate
Then
from
how are you
university.
homeschooling your children?
It's just one that I homeschool.
Why?
Because 2 years ago when she went to his house for the weekend, she was in a very bad wreck and flipped 5 times, and she has problems from that.
And you've been told to homeschool her?
No,
Or you
ma'am.
decided to homeschool her?
That was my choice.
Right. Miss Alva, I'm going to make some suggestions to you, and I want you to take them to heart. Your primary responsibility is to your 2 children. Your primary responsibility is to see to it that your 2 children are raised with a reasonable moral code, that they don't see their parents being involved in lying or cheating or stealing. That's your primary responsibility. And your husband, Robert, it is not his responsibility to corporally punish your children. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this young man I find to be a charming young man. Bright, very likable. He has the potential to be a nice young man. You and your family are screwing that up. You see that spot?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a dry spot.
It had already been
That's a
swept
dry
away.
spot. That's a dry spot that was there before your husband forced your son to take a hose and flood the inside of your house. Now, that doesn't mean, Mr. Vasquez, that there wasn't a lot of damage done by your pool. It's clear to me, based on these photographs, that your pool drainage did some damage. Next time you'll figure out some other way to drain your pool. That's not the point here. I don't know what motivated you to pit your son against his mother
Yes, ma'am.
and his stepfather, which may have ramifications. I'm going to give you some advice about that in a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I will see to it that a call is made to Child Protective Services where you live to monitor your home. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to see to it that there are no ramifications to this child or any other child in your house as a result of what happened today. So the call is going to be made by me to Child Protective Services where you live to come out and take a look at what's going on in your house. But I think it was a mistake on your part, sir, to put your son in the middle. It was a mistake.
It had to be done. It had to be done.
No.
And,
It didn't have to be done that way. Listen to me. Your son was living with his mother and his stepfather. Stepfather who, according to your son, uses corporal punishment as a way of punishing both himself and his sibling. Now, prior to Robert corporally punishing the children with a belt, she did. Now, I didn't ask about you.
I don't.
He seemed to be very happy when he was living with you, and he doesn't know why his mother came and took him away. You paid his mother child support?
No, he does not.
Oh, Miss Judy.
I asked you a question.
No,
That
ma'am.
requires a yes or a no.
Ma'am. No, ma'am. But them young's needs on my part gets anything that can be.
Don't give me talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Money.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you pay. Money to take care of your children. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because let me explain to you what happens if you don't do that. Listen to me carefully. What happens is her husband feels as if he's supporting your children which gives him license to hit him with a belt. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So you start paying support. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
May I say something, please?
Yes.
There's also a three-year-old little girl that lives there. Also, I don't think she told you about.
I didn't hear about any 3-year-old little girl. He didn't tell me about a 3-year-old little girl.
Custody of her.
Whose child is that?
It's my brother's daughter, and I've had her since the day she was born.
Well, I looked over my fence and I seen the child out there unsupervised around the pool area. No supervision for 10 minutes.
No.
Mr. Vasquez, this is what I'm telling you, sir. I'm not giving any money back. You did the wrong thing. You drained your pool into a place and it made a mess in their house. They don't have to have a mess in their house, and I am not an engineer, so I'm not going to be able to say what damage your pool did and what damage they did themselves in order to enhance the claim. I can't separate that. What I can tell these people is something is not right, and the advantage of having this case heard today is that I am going to get a team of social workers out to her house to see what's going on there. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all. Step out.
Excuse me, step out.
I feel like she's doing the right thing by having someone look after the young
She
man.
is.
I don't like the way that he upset my son. My son said things because he was very scared of him, and he has been abuseful in the past.
I'm going to do everything I can to get that child away from her.
And now, 21-year-old dishwasher Ebony Norwood is suing her former employer, restaurant owner George Demopoulos, for medical bills as the result of cutting her finger. Ebony also claims George owes for lost wages and harassment.
Now, this is case number 80 on the calendar in the matter of Norwood versus Demopoulos. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Norwood, you worked for the defendant for a brief period of time, and it is your claim that you were injured on the job, that the defendant didn't pay for your medical bills, that he didn't pay you for wages, that he was uncaring, that he fired you. You want punitive damages in the amount of $2,000. Is that right?
Everything is correct, but I quit.
When was your last day of work?
I worked February, and in March I had someone else come in and take my place
Why?
because I went and did 30 days to get off probation.
So you worked for him in February.
Yes, ma'am.
How many weeks in February?
3.
What kind of work were you doing for him?
I was a dishwasher at the time.
He has a restaurant?
Had.
He had a restaurant.
Yes, ma'am.
So you worked for him for 3 weeks in February.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you went to jail
Yes, ma'am.
for 4 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you came back, he gave you your job back.
Yes, ma'am.
That was nice of him.
Yes, ma'am.
And he paid you on time?
Yes, ma'am. When he was there.
He doesn't have to be there. You're not his boss. He's your boss.
Thank you.
And he held your job open when you went to jail.
Yes, ma'am. He told me if I would find somebody to come in and replace me when I got out, I could get my job back.
That was still very nice of him.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you incarcerated for in March?
For property damage.
What kind of property damage?
Damage to a truck that I was found guilty of.
You vandalized somebody's truck?
That's what the man said.
Well, that's what either you found guilty of or you pled guilty to.
I didn't plead guilty. They found me guilty.
Oh. Now, you want to tell me, Miss Norwood, why you claim he owes you all this money?
Well, on May the 7th was when the incident took place.
May 7th
Yes, ma'am, is when I got cut. I
is when you got?
got a lesion across my finger at the bottom.
You got a cut
Yes,
on
ma'am.
your finger. Shh. Got a cut, you cut your finger.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing when you cut your finger?
I was cleaning up the back dish area, getting ready to leave, and I went to reach for the wire Brillo pad, and I got cut as I was taking it off the hook.
You got cut on a Brillo pad?
It's a wire scrub pad, like what you use to scrub pots and pans with, but it's made out of wire material.
Oh, had you ever used one of those before?
Yes, ma'am.
So why weren't you more careful?
It was pulling, and it was raggedy, so to speak.
Well, you couldn't just see that?
I was trying to get it off the hook so I can clean up. That's the only one he had in the building.
My question to you is, you had used it before,
Yes.
so you know that it's sharp?
But he had never cut me before. I had never got cut before by one.
Okay. And what happened?
I went and told Mr. Demopoulos that I had got a cut. He told me that it wasn't bad enough for me to go to the hospital when I had informed him that I was going to go to the doctor to get looked at.
Why were you going to go to a hospital?
Because it was cut deep. You could see the white meat in my finger.
Ooh, that sounds terrible. Did it have to be stitched?
I had 4 butterfly stitches put in my finger. And I had the paperwork here and everything from the
Can I
doctors.
see it, please?
That's everything, the paperwork from the doctors.
I just
that I got
I asked
from
you
them.
a question, madam. I asked you lab results. Did you tell somebody in the hospital that you cut your finger with a knife?
No, ma'am.
That's what they wrote here.
I just got all of that recently from the hospital. I don't know what was in the paperwork. I told the...
I'm just telling you that that's what they wrote in the hospital record. That
Well,
you told
they
them.
asked me...
Shh. I'm speaking. That's what they wrote here. That you told them that you cut your right index finger with a knife.
Well, that's incorrect. I told the doctor and the nurse as well that I was cut with wire Brillo pad. Why they put knife, I do not know. I just went and picked all of that up from the records, from everything they had in my financial department, where they've been trying to get in touch with Mr. Demopoulos about taking care of everything, and that's what they gave me.
Listen to me very carefully. You can talk up a blue streak. Bottom line is, hospital record says you told a doctor that you cut your finger with a knife.
Well, it must have been a miscommunication.
Maybe. So you want these bills paid, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. It's on my credit. It has ruined my credit. I can't get a cell phone. I can't even apply for an apartment in my name. As you can see, the bill up there, the pink bill, is a note from the collection agency where they've been billing me, and the last time that I spoke with the lady, they had rerouted all the bills to Mr. Demopoulos' address.
Good. Okay. Now, so that's the bills part.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what's the other part of your lawsuit?
I'm suing for punitive damages.
What are the punitive damages, Ms. Norwood?
I feel like I was forced to quit. I was standing there and I took so much off of Mr. Demopoulos. He stood there, he would make racial comments. One day I came in, after I had gave him the bills, I gave him the bills on May the 8th. May the 9th, I walked in and he was standing up front with all of his friends, and he stood there and he looked at me when I walked around the corner and said, "I don't want no in my restaurant," and said it 3 times to me, once up front, once in the dish area, and once at the back. I told Mr. Demopoulos, I said, "You need to pay me. I don't feel comfortable working here. I can't stand working here anymore. I done took all I could take. You need to pay me." He wouldn't pay me, so I walked out. His sister came in behind me. I told her she needed to leave me alone. When I walked back in, he was like, "I'm giving out paychecks." So I got my money, and then I left. And that following week, I had got my check stub and went to the lady that was doing his accounting, and she told me that I need to tell him to pay me the rest of my money. So
What's the rest of your money?
the week in the hole. He never paid me in full.
Listen to me. I have a question for you. Why did you tell me that you worked until May 16th for Mr. Demopoulos? You didn't work till May 16th.
I had a week in the hole. That's what my check stub said. My last
I don't
check
know what
stub.
that means.
My last current check stub.
I don't know what a week in the hole means.
You have to work a week before you get a full paycheck. You put a whole week.
I asked you how long you worked for Mr. Demopoulos. You said you worked for him until May 16th, but clearly you did not. Did you ever go back to work after you hurt your finger on May 7th?
I went back to work May 8th. He would never let me stay out of work.
So you went back on May 8th?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you perform your function on May 8th?
No, ma'am.
Well, what did you do?
I stood there and he had me training another guy.
So you didn't do anything? You don't have to train somebody to do dishes?
Well, that's what he
You
told
don't have
me
to train well, because you wouldn't work. And did you come into work on May 9th?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do?
Train the guy again.
Okay. Mr. Demopoulos.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk about these medical bills, sir. You prepared to pay these medical bills?
I didn't tell her I was going to pay any bills.
No. Are you prepared to pay the medical bills? She cut her finger on the job.
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right. I'll take care of the medical bills. When did she start working for you?
To me, if, for what I remember is correctly, it was around March.
Well, if you don't remember, then I have to take what she tells me as accurate.
Okay.
That she came to work for you in February.
That's a lie. But anyway, in March, she came to work. She worked for a month. She had to go to jail, so I allowed her to take her time off, allowed her to let her grandmother come in to wash dishes for her until she got out of jail. At the end of March, she came back. She washed dishes approximately 2 more weeks, went to court for 3 or 4 days.
Did you go to court for 3 or 4 days in April?
No, ma'am, I did not. I didn't have any court dates. When I went to jail on March the 1st.
Just listen to my question.
No, ma'am, I did not.
You worked every day?
Yes, ma'am. When I left jail on March, I went March the 1st
What
for
about
jail.
the stolen credit
and
cards
March
and all
the
that?
30th.
Shh,
March
don't speak.
the 30th.
Mr. Demopoulos, don't speak to her. She thinks you can talk faster than I can. She thinks she's smarter. She's not.
Real people.
Ebony Norwood says former employer George Demopoulos owes for medical bills when she cut her finger in his restaurant. George claims she threatened to stab him with a fork.
Tell me about what she had to go back to court for in April after she did her 30 days in March.
From what I understood, something about stolen credit cards. Her mother worked at a retirement home or something, and the credit cards were stolen by her mother, and her mother gave Ebony's name or something like that as her name, and Ebony ended up having to go into court for it. Okay,
you don't make up that kind of story,
Your
Miss
Honor, my
Norwood.
mother's here now.
Listen to me. You don't make up that kind of story.
When I left jail on March the 30th, I had never anything else to do with court. I was through with court. It was over with. I had no other cases pending, nothing.
Fine. All right, go ahead. Let me hear
She was off 3 days for that. Then she was off again another 2 days the following week after the 3 days that she took off. She came back to work. She cut her finger about 2 weeks or a week later. Wanted a day off for her finger being cut. Did not get the day off from the doctor. She threatened to stab me with a fork. She threatened to, I mean, in the racial marks, excuse me, if there was any racial marks made, it was by